Welcome everyone to our Shabbat celebration. It's great to be here with you through the aid of modern technology. I want to thank Sarah Liberman for doing a great job. And if anything goes wrong, it's my fault, not hers. She did a lot of work to try to prepare everything in advance. And I'm really looking forward to this Shabbat celebration. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to pay tribute to Father's Day. We're going to talk about Juneteenth. And I have a special surprise. I couldn't even believe that this happened. To celebrate my dad, his name was Sam, and his parents used to call him Samala. And tonight, we actually have Samala. He's on, and he's amazing. You're going to see him afterwards, so don't go away. You will meet Samala Pierre, a great kid who's going to join us later on. But for now, we're going to start our Shabbat celebration. But first, I have to mention our sponsors, because we love our sponsors who make all of this possible. Craig Goldenfarb is a wonderful attorney, humanitarian, gets involved in public interest, and does a lot of charitable work. He also knows personal injury backwards and forwards, so if there's ever a time that you need someone, you can see all of his contact information here. And we're also very glad to have my family online. Quite a few of my family is online. And my dad, whenever he met someone who was in public relations, he said, you know what? If you had my relations, you wouldn't make them public. So it's a little scary because my family is very unpredictable. In fact, I'm the normal one, if you can believe that. And so we have some of them online. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to start out with a beautiful song by our wonderful cantorial soloist, Andy Susman. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharei, Malachi Elyon, Mimech Malchei HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Now we're going to continue with a song called Boi Kala. It indicates the fact that the Sabbath is greeted like a bride. With all the anticipation that we greet our bride, we also greet the Sabbath. Boi Kala.
אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר ברא ששון ושמחה חתן וחלה גילה ורינה דיצה וחדווה אור יישמע בהרי יהודה ובחוצות ירושלים כל ששון וכל שמחה, כל חתן וכל כלה. בואי בשלום, עטרת בעלה.
was preparing for this Shabbat celebration for Father's Day, I was looking through old pictures and I found some pictures of when I got married to Francine. I remember what an awesome day that was, and my dad was there, and it was very cold out in December, and I was about 44 years old, and I hadn't been married yet, and they were trying to marry me off for years. I remember he said, they always said it would be a cold day in Florida before Barry gets married, and it was. And but I enjoyed looking at those pictures. When you get married, you kind of like get a fresh start. You see yourself through the eyes of your loved one, and you get to start over. And Shabbat is the same way. We must approach this Shabbat as an opportunity to start anew. So whatever faults we had, whatever bad habits we have, we get a chance to start all over again. And so now I'm going to turn it over to my wife, to Francine, and she's there with the kids, with Ari and Brandon. They were kind enough to be with us for Father's Day. They made the ultimate sacrifice, and I'm going to turn it over to them for the candle lighting. Oh, Sharon, you need to unmute Francine.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. As the Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As the brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own way, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotov v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen, amen, amen.
We're going to now continue with the drinking of the wine. Before I go into this blessing, I just want to share with you a quote. We do some readings that are a little bit different than other synagogues. I want to quote my mentor, Albert Einstein. He said, the most beautiful and most profound experience is the sensation of the mystical. It is the sower of all true science. He to whom this emotion is a stranger, who can no longer stand in wonder and wrapped in awe, is as good as dead, a snuffed out candle. So the purpose of this celebration is to light a candle and to not be a snuffed out candle, but to rejoice and to celebrate. And that's why we drink wine, in order to show the joy of Shabbat and the miracle that we have the capacity, just like a cup of wine, to make the lives of other people better by acting a little sweeter than we often do. So we're going to continue now with the Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. We now continue with Andy leading us in the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Now Andy will continue with the Ma'ariv Aravim.
Sandy, I went out.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher Bidvaro Marivaravi. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bidvaro Marivaravi. Baruch Ata Adonai Hama'ariv Aravi.
Now, many people think that religion and science are hopelessly incompatible, but they actually both lead to the same conclusion that all is one. We remember this with the Shema, and we remember this also with Einstein's theory of relativity, uniting all the forces and telling us that all the universe began as one. It is our goal as Jews to have perfect faith that humans are capable of achieving unity once again, and that our goal and our destiny is not warfare and conflict, but harmony and peace. And that is reflected in the Shema led for us by Andy Susman.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני Elohechem emet.
Now we're going to continue shortly with prayers about the Avot and our forefathers, but I just want to comment on the Ahavta. The Ahavta means and you shall love. And love, of course, is the foundational basis for Judaism, and all civilized, all recognized religions really all talk about love. But what people don't realize is that science also is based on love, because love is attraction. And molecules, if they weren't attracted to each other and the forces of nature didn't bring molecules together, nothing would work. The universe could not exist and we wouldn't live. So actually, you see this law of attraction that motivates and governs humanity and also makes the world go round, literally. Now, we're going to have a tribute to my dad now for Father's Day. And when we do this, I hope that you will always be thinking of your own parents and your own forefathers. I'm a little reluctant to do this because my dad was very modest. He used to like to tell the story about the old rabbi who was on his deathbed, and his disciples were gathered around, and they were praising him, saying, what an intellect, what a genius, what a scholar, what a wonderful rabbi, probably the greatest rabbi of all. And the old man, the old rabbi, gets as much strength as he can to pick up his head, and he says, you forgot to mention my modesty. So my dad was very reluctant to have people sing his praises, but we have importuned upon my brother. So I think Josh is going to go first. I think he's coming in from California, and which stands, the first 5 letters stand for come and live in Florida. And then we have my brother Dan. So I'm going to turn it over to my brother Josh.
Hey all, I'm really glad to be able to talk about my dad for a couple of minutes. Speaking of love, he loved people, and he believed that all humanity was part of the same family. And one of the ways he showed that was to share this joy with people in public. He was before social distancing. He was anti-social distancing. He believed in breaking down these barriers we have of race, religion. Now he would be breaking down the barriers of germs. But he was a master at helping people open to the possibility of human connection in ways they hadn't thought of. We go to a restaurant, and he would go around to the different tables, and you would see that. You'd see the scene where they would be there and having a dinner, but just a normal dinner, and all of a sudden, within a minute of his arrival, people would be smiling and laughing and having an experience of breaking down these barriers and having this experience of love and joy that was, in many cases, unprecedented in how he would just convey the sense of we are part of one family, and he would put people at ease. And he was a master at this. He believed that God wasn't just in the prayer book. It was just in our prayers, that God had to be the living experience of sharing this with people. And he was a genius at that. And we actually see a full expression of that in Rabbi Barry and how he interacts with people. It's very heartwarming to see the way he's carrying on this legacy of my dad. My dad would be so, having such nachas at seeing his message being carried on in such a way. I was a prop for him when I was a baby. I was in New York City, and he would roll me around, and I was often smiling, laughing, and he'd see somebody who looked like they needed to be lifted up a little bit, and he'd maneuver me around this person, and then all of a sudden I'd smile, and he'd go, "Oh my God, it must be you. You must be someone who has this warm heart, because my son, he never smiles, never laughs. It must be you. Bring this out of him." And the person would just light up, and that's just an example of my dad. And so it's my pleasure to share the memory of him. Thank you all.
Hey, Josh, I want to thank you so much. And it's very kind what you said about me. I haven't quite mastered Dad's ability to get a smile out of people. Sometimes I don't always evoke that reaction, but I'm still working on it. But thank you very much for those wonderful words. Now we're going to turn it over to my brother Dan, coming in from Tampa, Florida. And thanks, Josh. That was awesome.
Great.
Hello, this is a poem that I wrote for my father on his 95th birthday. It's called Beyond Compare. I feel very lucky to have been blessed with a father who's beyond compare. I have no doubt he is the best. My love for him I'd like to share. It was the year that Titanic had its tragic date with destiny. There arose a moral mechanic whose tune-ups bring out the best in me. In his youth, he witnessed his country get hurled into a crash that depressed a nation. He made up his mind to improve the world and not rely on predestination. Volunteering for duty, he served as chaplain. His men came to him for spiritual advice. He vanquished the demons they were grappling, demonstrating the meaning of sacrifice. His life story is a bestseller, guided by faith and deep conviction. Mitzvot became the storyteller, a prime example of non-friction. A humble man with a gentle soul, he's on a sacred mission. Uplifting mankind is his goal. Shalom is his vision. Each day he sets out on a tour to put a smile on someone's face. And by day's end, you can be sure he's made the world a better place. On his daily cruise, he tries to make the burdens we carry a little bit lighter. And if you find yourself caught in his wake, you may find your day a little bit brighter. Glittering brightly among the renowned, there's no denying his appeal. On the pulpit or airwaves, he can be found, hobnobbing with Norman Vincent Peale, planting seminal sermons in fertile minds. With showering love, he cleanses and nourishes. His brilliance and warmth sparkles and shines. Illuminating ignorance, sweet fellowship flourishes. My dad has a marvelous sense of humor. During these times, that may seem a rarity. He believes that hate is like a tumor, which he excises with Bema therapy. Dad plus mom, an unequaled collaboration. Mom blended the choralists like an emulsifier. While Dad stirred and spurred the congregation, Mom was busy preaching to the choir. He shares this wisdom for avoiding strife. Like one mishpacha, all men are brothers. His formula for a happy life is to get a charge out of helping others. As senseless mayhem continues to escalate, his message becomes all the more clear. We better get along before it's too late, or life as we know it will disappear. My father taught me the joys of giving. I can still hear his words clear and loud. As I face the challenges of living, I hope my actions will make him proud. An important lesson he did impart. When expressing gratitude, don't hesitate. I'd like to state from the heart, thank you, Dad, for being so great. To reach his age is quite a feat. I'd like to wish him mazel tov. My life he's made so very sweet that my heart overflows with love. Thank you.
Wow. That was indeed a masterpiece. He did get a lot of the talent from my dad for writing poems, but that was, we write a lot of poems and songs in the family, but that is definitely the pièce de résistance. That's the best of them all. So now I hesitate to share my offering after that. I got a little song that I do. I was trying to match it up to a track, but I lost track. I couldn't do it. So I'll give you a few verses of my song Sam's in the Cradle, with my apologies to Harry Chapin, because I don't sing it quite the way he sang the original. Well, my dad was born just the other day. His folks had just arrived in the USA. Back in Eastern Europe, the Jews faced pogroms. They worked hard, but were just tossed crumbs, so they risked their lives to cross the sea, to raise a family in a land where they could be free. Well, my dad's in the cradle in the silver home, lavished with love and showered with shalom. His folks speak Romanian, Polish, and Russian, but they love their mama lushin'. In school, Sam excelled at every session, but America faced the Great Depression. He had a paper route and sold women's shoes, but what Sam was all about was serving the Jews. So before you knew it, this fine guy became a great rabbi. Yes, he became a rabbi. When he was in college, he sent money to his folks, acquiring knowledge and learning new jokes. He also learned to give a homily when he studied at HUC. During World War II, many lives were lost, and Jews suffered through the Holocaust. Sam could have stayed home, safe and warm, but instead he donned a uniform. Abroad he saw horrific scenes in the dangerous Philippines. Well, Sam was in the cradle of brutality, where violence was a daily reality. He returned home ready to devote his life towards the goal of ending strife. He tried to end all strife. Things were really bad and oh so wrong, but at least in Asia he learned to play ping pong. When the war ended, he returned to the States and spent 10 years going out on dates till he met someone special one Halloween and made Esther his queen. He's got kids in the cradle in Connecticut, displaying charm and etiquette. His kids had long hair and hated haircuts. It's amazing he didn't go nuts. My own sons were born just the other day. We called them Brandon and Yihyeh. We have now learned after checking the data, this is the 16th time he's become a Zeta. And their progeny love their Zeta Sam, and they love their Bubba Graham. Yes, they love Sam and Bubba Graham. How lucky I am to be his lad and to call this guy my dad. I feel lucky to call him my dad. Well, thank you very much for allowing us to pay this little tribute to my dad, which is in Hebrew, fathers is avot. And so now we're going to continue with a prayer that gives thanks to our forefathers who envisioned a world where might makes right, and instead say, no, might doesn't make right. All people should be friendly and in brotherhood and fellowship with one another, a vision of unity reflected in the avot, led for us by Cantorial soloist Andy Susman.
Adonai שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם, בעזרת שרה.
Now we're going to have a really beautiful song, Yihyeh Shalom.
There will be peace in the world when we understand one another. There will be peace in the world when we love one another. There will be peace in the world. Yihyeh Shalom. Yihyeh Shalom. One
L'Dor Va-Dor, we try to mix it up a little bit and not show the same videos every time. But I'm telling you, I could watch that video every single week and never get bored. It's sheer genius and it's beautiful. And what happens at L'Dor Va-Dor should not stay at L'Dor Va-Dor. I hope everyone who heard that song, everyone on this Zoom and everyone on the recorded call will go out filled with inspiration from the beauty of those words and go out and bring peace to this world. You know, my brother Dan was wearing a shirt with my folks' picture on it, and I got their picture right here. And my dad was able to accomplish a lot because he had a really great partner. And she often went along with a lot of his humor. She's got the picture there. When my dad got married, he was like me, he was very old. He was in his 40s. And he brought my mom home to meet his parents. And his parents had wanted him to get married for years and years and were desperate. And finally, my mom came to meet the parents. And afterwards, my mom said to my dad, you know what, Sam, I think your parents really like me. And he said, don't let it go to your head. I could have brought home an old hag and my parents would have loved you. and my mom was frequently the butt of humor like that and went along with it. She had a wonderful, wonderful sense of humor, which is why they were such a great team. Now we're going to share a few moments of silent meditation. When we do that, I just want to let people know that at L'Dor Va-Dor, we speak out on issues. You'll hear it later on. We're going to talk about June 19th and all types of controversial issues. And many people think, well, that doesn't belong in a worship service. We should have a feeling of peace and serenity and not talk about conflict. Judaism is based on challenging the status quo, starting with Moses when he challenged Pharaoh. And people said, hey, Moish, you're making things worse. Don't speak up. So I wanted to share with you on June 19th some words from Frederick Douglass to give us a little bit of a provocation for silent meditation about what we might want to think about. And he said this: if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favor freedom and yet depreciate agitation are people who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the awful roar of its many waters. This struggle may be a moral one, or it may be a physical one, or it may be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle. Power concedes nothing without demand. It never did, and it never will. And on this day, we remember those incredible people who gave their lives fighting in the Civil War to liberate others. And we hope that we might be inspired also to be courageous, to be bold, to agitate, and to speak out for freedom. So let us spend a few moments now in silent meditation, reflecting on how we can be a source of peace and freedom for others.
Mekor Abraham, may the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our life a blessing. And let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha imotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Now it's time for our Torah service, and I brought in Ari, and I think Brandon's coming too, to help. Oh, and Nudnik is here also.
Hey, Dad, we missed you.
To lead in the Torah blessings. Wait a minute, you ready? You can come on this side. Okay. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Now, we're going to read an amazing passage this time. You've probably heard the words, "We shall overcome." And you might have thought that maybe that was made up by people in the civil rights movement. Actually, it comes from this passage here. Bear with me, my eyes aren't so good and I have a very little Torah, but I'm going to share with you some wonderful words from the book of Numbers. וישבו מטור הארץ מקץ 40 יום וילכו ויבואו אל משה. And the scouts that were sent out after 40 days came back and reported to Moses, ואל אהרון ואל כל עדת בני ישראל. And they reported to Aaron and to all the children of Israel. El hamidbar paran kadashah. And they returned to the wilderness of Paran Kadashah, where the people were. Vayeshavu otam dibat ve'et kol ha'arot ve'yaraum et poriah. And they brought back word of the land that they were sent to reconnoiter. And they said, "Behold, here is the fruit from the land." V'yasaphu lo vayomer banu el ha'aretz asher shalachtanu v'gam zavat chalav u'davash. We have gone to that land that you sent us out to see, and truly it is a land flowing with milk and honey. And here, check out the fruit. Efes ki oz ha'am teshev be'aretz v'ha'arim be'tzurot. But the sad news is, though, that these people are very strong, and their cities are well fortified. Gedolot ma'od, very large. V'gam yelideh ha'anak ra'inu sham. Amalek Yoshev Ba'aretz, and we saw some really large, giant people who were dwelling in the land. V'hanegeb v'hachiti v'hayevusi. We saw people in the Negev, the Hittites and the Jebusites. The Ta'amri Yoshev Bahar v'haknaani Yoshev Ahayam, and the Canaanites were dwelling by the sea. V'al Yad HaYarden, and they were near the Jordan River. V'yahas Kalev otam ha'et ha'am el Moshe. But the people were very riled up and very worried. But Caleb calmed down the people, and he said, "Alo na'aleh v'yarashnu." We shall go up and we can accomplish this. Ki yachol nuchal la, for we shall overcome. Ha'anashim asher anu lamu yamru lo nuchal alot el ha'am ki chazaku mimenu. But the other 10 scouts, they said, "No way. These people are too formidable for us. It's not possible." V'yitzau dibat ha'aretz asher tachatzata el bnei Yisrael le'mor ha'aretz asher avarnu ba lachtur ota eretz ochelet yoshveha. They continued. They said, "No, this land is a land that will consume its inhabitants, and we will be destroyed if we try to enter it." Hu b'chol ha'am asher ra'inu b'tocham anshe midot v'sham ra'inu et ha'nefilim. And we saw people of great stature, the legendary people of the Nephilim, the sons of giants, Bnei Anak. Ki toferu batanu ha'ardot v'yachnu et kulam v'yibachu ha'am b'layla ahu. Be'einenu mechagavim v'chen hayinu ba'agavim be'einehem. And they said, These people are so large that in our eyes, we saw ourselves as grasshoppers. And that must be how we looked to them. The blessing after the reading of the Torah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Amen. Now, this is a really fascinating story that we have here. It's actually the first time ever that the pastime of scouting was mentioned. For Jewish people sent out scouts. These were the first scouts in recorded history, and they went out to check out the land. And many people don't realize that scouts were Jewish. There's actually a great scout named Mo Berg, who was a baseball player, and he recognized the Nazi threat before others did, and he went to Japan. He was a linguist and a baseball player. This Jewish person spoke many languages, and he checked out Japan and found out where things were so that we were able to help figure out where we should drop our bombs when we eventually invaded. Nobody else at that time even recognized Japan as being a threat. But there's a story about a scout, and he showed up late to the scout meeting. And the scoutmaster said to him, "Why are you late? Scouts are always supposed to be on time." He said, "Well, I was doing a good deed. I had to help a little old lady cross the street." The master said, "Yeah, but that shouldn't take so long. Why are you 20 minutes late?" He said, "Well, she didn't want to go across the street." And so that teaches us a lesson. If we want to truly help other people, we can't just tell them what to do or coerce them into doing it. We have to change the mindset of people. We have to affect the way they think. And so today we see in our land that there's a great need to change, to get people to cross over from where they were in this celebration of Juneteenth, to remove all vestiges of racism, get people to cross over to the other side and do the right thing. Yes, it's very important that we change some of our laws. Yes, it's very important that we change policies. And the policy that says that if you witness violence as a police officer and do nothing to intervene, you now will be held accountable. This goes all the way back to Leviticus, which says you must speak out if people are doing evil, otherwise you'll be held accountable. Finally, 3,000 years later, this is the law. We're starting to change the law. This is so important. We also need to get rid of police officers who are violent and who have no business carrying a badge and having a gun. Most police officers are good, but even if 10% are bad, the results are horrific. We need to hold them up to a high standard and make sure we weed out all such officers. We also need to change the people in public office. We have public officials who are abysmal. We need to toss them out and let them find something else to do. But even though we have to make all of these changes, the most significant change that we must make is a change of heart, a change of mind, a change of the soul of America, which was built on genocide and racism and not treating women fairly, and change the way people think. For this, we need a spiritual transformation, and I know of no better people to do it than the Jewish people who have this indomitable spirit and have been changing the way people think and attitudes ever since the beginning. Ever since we said no, we reject the concept that there's all these different gods and each group of people is different. We reject that. We say that all people are one. We're all family, and there's a creative process at work in this universe that we're getting to know better and better each day, especially with the advent of science and understanding it. That's what we need, a spiritual transformation. It will not just come from the Jewish people. There are good people all over this country of all religions, all races, all stripes, agnostics and atheists as well, who are joining together to recognize that we are all one, and realizing that with this moment of silence that we have, not just in services, but with the pandemic, that we need to reorient how we think in this year 2020 and have a new way of thinking. And I hope that the religious community will step forward and have this awakening. On Father's Day, I just want to share with you quickly some revelations from my dad that would be so important if we could learn. His approach to religion was so different. First of all, he didn't put a box on his head and bind up his arms. He thought outside of the box. And he was unrestricted in his way of thinking. He was a free thinker, one of the first to do interfaith weddings, having dialogue with people that he disagreed with, and inviting people of all races and colors and beliefs to join in dialogue. And he was a founding rabbi of the Temple of Understanding, an organization that fulfilled the dream of prophets to bring together all the religions. We must think outside of the box if we want to advance religion. He also said, don't let something irritate you, let it amuse you. He was impregnable as far as his equanimity. You could say anything you want to him, criticize him, toss him out of boards of rabbis, say anything you want. It would never get him upset. He always thought, well, that's just how someone else feels. I don't have to allow that to invade my thinking. I don't care if they don't like me. It doesn't matter. And he used to say to us kids, save your wine for Kiddush. He refused to indulge whiners and complainers and use humor to try to bring people up to a higher level. He said that we should not major in minors. Don't worry about trivial things. Worry about things that are important. He was someone who said that all people should recognize their essential kinship, and that kinship was brought out by the rational mind. He believed in a rational approach to Judaism. And if we had a rational approach to religion, imagine what we could accomplish. So I brought this book, Explaining Judaism to Jews and Christians, and on the very first page, he says, Judaism is a faith which likes to explain itself. The spokesmen of Judaism have always hearkened to the precept laid down by the prophet Isaiah, come, let us reason together. Jews are willing to accept the challenge that a Jewish belief which cannot be buttressed by logic need not be accepted. We prefer not to ask our people to accept the doctrine on faith alone. And then he said, even God should be regarded as a hypothesis. So I call upon Jews of every background and every persuasion, stop building up walls and start building bridges through dialogue, through reason, through understanding, through love, through humor, through joy. Break down those walls, because if Jewish people can't unite, how can we possibly bring the people of the world together? How can we serve as a force for unity if we can't even talk to each other? I especially call upon our Orthodox brothers and sisters to set foot in synagogues of other persuasions, to join us on Zoom, and to all join together as they did in the Talmud, where people talked with one another. Have a sense of humor, have a light touch, have a sense of joy, and look at the challenges that we have, not as obstacles, but as something that we can overcome by working together. It's a great pleasure for me to celebrate Shabbat with everybody and to invoke a little bit of my dad's memory. I've written articles about him that you can find in the Jewish Journal, and I'm going to end up with this little story. It's from the religion called Taoism. And the sun and the wind were fighting. Who could be a more powerful force? They said, you see that guy with the jacket? Let's see who can make him take off that jacket. And the wind blew hard as it could. And the man grabbed his jacket even tighter, and it wouldn't budge. And finally, he gave it all he had, and he gave up. And the sun then came out and shone a bright light of warmth upon the man. And the man then took off his jacket, the same way that the woman would easily cross the street if she was compelled to do so. My friends, that's how we need to be on this Juneteenth. We need to try to spread love and joy to other people, to effectuate a spiritual transformation. And let us show that the power of love can always overpower the love of power every time, and is far more enduring. Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Now we're going to continue with a montage and a beautiful song about fathers and about destiny.
In the garden there's a tree planted by someone who only imagined me. condition. I marvel at the gift. No fruit could be sweeter than this. I'm standing on the shoulders of the ones who came before me. As my people went from land to land, something passed from hand to hand, and it isn't just the words and stories of the ancient laws and golden glories. It's the way we study, the book we study. It's the way we study, the way. I'm standing on the shoulders of the ones who came before me. I'm standing on the shoulders of the ones who came before me. Today my life is full of choice, because a young man raised his voice, because a young girl took a chance. I'm freedom's inheritance. Years ago they crossed the sea, and they made a life that's come to me. I'm standing on the shoulders of the ones who came before me. I'm standing on the shoulders of the ones who came before me.
I want to thank a lot of people for putting that together, especially my son Ari, who did a lot of work, and Sharon and others. Thank you. We're going to now continue with the Kaddish. As we read the Kaddish, we remember our fathers. Let us try to be the type of people that they hoped we could be. Let us see ourselves through their eyes of love and see if we can bring out all the potential that they saw in us. We recite many names, which will be shown on the screen. One person recently I'd like to mention is David Jacobs, who passed away recently. And as we read the Kaddish, we remember the memory of so many people who brought us the freedom that we enjoy in this country. So many people who gave the ultimate sacrifice. Let us be inspired by their courage and bravery in order to never fear making a difference as we read the Kaddish. Yisgadal, Yisgadash, Shemir Abba, V'yomah divrach ruseh, v'yamnich ma'chuseh, v'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayeh, d'chol beis Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yihyeh Shalom mivorach olam omei omaya, Yisbarach v'yistabach v'yisbar v'yisromam v'yisnaseh, v'yisadar v'yisaleh v'yisalal shemei d'kedusha v'rechu. Le'elam enko v'rchasa v'shirasa, tishbechasa v'nechamasa, ta'amiron v'yama v'imru amen. Yihyeh Shalom rabash min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru amen. Useh shalom b'imromav. Yihyeh Shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. And we say that may the source of peace bring peace to all who mourn, and let us say amen. And I would like to just have an additional moment of silence now for all of those people who have succumbed to COVID-19. May their memory be a blessing, and may we now enter a moment of silence for them. We're now going to have the closing benediction. This is usually the time that people check out. Don't check out, because it's going to be a great discussion afterwards about Juneteenth with some really wonderful people. So I hope you'll stick around, and I hope you might even add your voice. For the final benediction, I just want to share with you some other words from my dad. Whenever I would say, something's not possible, we can't do this, it's too hard, or it can't be done, he would always say, don't tell me why it can't be done. Show me how it can be done. And that's I love that motto. And so many times he proved me wrong. So many times I was able to do things that I thought were impossible. And it just gave me this attitude, like a can-do attitude, which is the passage that we read. We shall overcome. And so when we look at the time period that we're living in now, and we tend to get discouraged and think that things are very difficult, let us remember the incredible, indomitable spirit of our people. The Torah passage tonight indicates that they thought they could overcome in defeating militarily other people. Modern Jews reject and repudiate that whole concept. We regret what's in the Torah, and we do not take it as God's word when it says that we were commanded to conquer other nations. We've transgressed, and hopefully we can transcend beyond that. But I hope the message of Yahonu Chala, we can overcome. And even if 10 people say you're wrong, and even if the whole society says you're wrong, the Jewish people, being a minority, know that even 2 people or 1 person with a great spirit can make anything happen. So let us say, we shall overcome. And even in Oklahoma, where people now are required to have a waiver, and they're required to sign a waiver saying that they will have a disclaimer against any type of virus. Let us also remember that some of the people that we're asked to vote for, they should give us a disclaimer and say, if you vote for me, we're warning you that you might succumb to the virus of hate and intolerance. And everyone here knows exactly who we're talking about. Let us recognize that there should be no disclaimers. And Oklahoma is a sacred place for another reason, not only because people died there over nearly 100 years ago. Oklahoma is where the mentor, the favorite president of President Trump, Andrew Jackson, led Native Americans on a death march, the only death march that was led defying the Supreme Court of Native Americans. And that's the man who led that, who orchestrated. That's his hero, someone who led us on a trail of tears. Let us have no more tears, and let us show that we shall overcome. Now we're going to have announcements, I believe, or no, we're going to have the blessing. I'm sorry, we continue with the blessing.
The Lord bless you and
It's time for our announcements, which will be followed by the interactive oneg, where you get a chance to share some of your thoughts. I turn it over to Suzanne.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome, one and all. It's great to see you tonight. We thank Rabbi Barry, Rose Lopater, Andy Susman, Arnie Pickholtz, and Sarah Liberman for making tonight's service special. We want to thank all of our members who have recently renewed and our newest members for supporting L'Dor Va-Dor. And thank you to all of you who are joining us tonight. We currently have a membership special running right now that we don't want you to miss out on. We also have special virtual memberships available for those who are not in our local area. We invite you to be a sponsor of one of our Shabbat services. Please contact our office for any additional information needed. We hold a chat with Rabbi about Torah and more each Tuesday evening on Zoom at 7 p.m. We welcome you to join us. Thursday, July 2nd at 7 p.m., we have a special Zoom program with Scott Greenberg, Travel Around the World with Me. Enjoy Scott as he shares some great memories and memorabilia about his recent world trip. He's awesome. Keep up to date with L'Dor Va-Dor through our website, our Facebook page, and our voice email newsletter. If you're not on our email distribution, sign up on our website, lodorvador.org, on the homepage. Also, you can find all of our recent Shabbat services and virtual programs recorded on our Congregation L'Dor Va-Dor YouTube channel. We would love for you to subscribe by clicking the red subscribe button and be alerted when a new video is posted. You can find us at youtube.com and search for Congregation L'Dor Va-Dor. We have included some basic instructions in this morning's voice newsletter to help those in need of some Zoom how-to advice. If you know of someone who needs some Zoom help, please forward this voice edition to them. Lastly, I would like to invite you to stay on following tonight's service and be part of our Oneg Shabbat Zoom and Schmooze, which will start in just a couple of minutes, where you can share your news, views, and schmooze with all of us. And with that, I'd like to say, Shabbat Shalom.
And be that we're children of one family. Yihyeh Shalom, Yihyeh Shalom, Yihyeh Shalom, Yihyeh Shalom.